In the 4 years that I've been running this channel, there has been one device that I've used consistently in almost every video, at least any video that I play guitar, and that is the Boss was a tube amp expander. If you don't know what this is, you put this between your speaker and your amp, well, between your amp and your speaker. It allows you to lower the total volume with a master volume here, so it has a built-in amplifier going to the speaker, so you can always set your amp wherever you want it and it'll always sound the same and it will always sound good. It has built-in speaker cabs, mics, room simulations, and built-in effects. And that is all switchable by MIDI. You can control your amp channels with it. It's a super complete solution for any guitar player, I think. I've been using it here to record stuff. I've been using it on stage, and yeah, I just cannot live without it. There are similar devices on the market as well, like the Torpedo, the Aux, but in my opinion, none of them sound as good as this. If you've watched one of my videos, you've heard it. Now, Boss released its tiny little brother, the TAE Core, the Tube Amp Expander Core, which is super light compared to its big brother. And the weird thing is that this adds some features I wish the big one had, and it lacks obviously some of the features of the big one. So this is not going to be a replacement of the big one. They're going to live side by side, but because this adds some features that are very useful, it's a hard question to answer. Which one do you need to get? And that is what I'm going to try to answer in this video. So first up, connectivity. The Tube Amp Expander, the big one, has a lot of connectivity. So going from left to right on the top, you can attach two cabs. This is where you attach the amp. There's a switch to change the impedance to match your amp, and there is a input level. So if you have a 10 watt amp, set it to 10 watts. 25 watts, set it to 50 watts. 100 watt amp, set it to 100 watts. Plug in your headphones. There's a mono out for front of house. I've never used that, but there's a ground lift as well. Stereo out, which is beautiful because you get like the 3D thing of the room simulation going on, which makes it sound so authentic. Ground lift as well. On the bottom, there's an amp control, so you can attach it to your amp and switch your channels with the Tube Amp Expander. You can attach a foot switch, you can attach a foot switch to control the effects loop, MIDI in and out so you can make it a part of your whole rig and have a switcher on the front of the stage, do all the switching for you. USB, this is the very old, like, printer USB. I always hated it because I never had the cable ready. And then there is an effects loop, which is brilliant because any effect you put in here will be behind the amp, just before the speaker, but behind the amp, essentially making it almost like a studio effect. So put a compressor in here and you will compress the whole signal, perfection, or a reverb or whatever. There is no gain or volume change interfering with that effects loop, which is super cool. Because sometimes, you know, when you have a reverb and you kick on a gain pedal, it like the reverb explodes. It doesn't happen when you place it here. And you can set the effects loop in series or parallel. On the front you have your speaker out, which is basically like your overall master volume. Two reactive load switches, and these are here to like compensate for changes in sound that happen when you lower the volume, so your speaker will sound different, and then you can just adjust with this. You can pre-save 10 different rigs, meaning effects, different speaker cabinets, different mics, whatever you want. Save them, and then you can have access to them here with this rotary switch, a reverb control, and this is what I've used a lot. So a lot of the times I would just have the reverb on my amp off and a plate reverb running here in this Tube Amp Expander. And if I wanted to dry sound, I just kick the reverb off here, and having that reverb again after your amp just makes it so studio quality like, and having that on stage is just awesome. A line out going to the XLRs and a headphone volume right there. Now the Core version obviously has a lot less connectivity. You can attach one cab, you attach your amp here, and that has to be 8 ohms. I think there can be like one step difference, but I do not like that. So it has to be 8 ohms. Kind of limiting your options, but on the other hand, most amps can do 8 ohms nowadays. But if you have like a super reverb, which is 2 ohms, not working. The same 100 watt, 10 watt, 50 watt switch, and stereo XLR out, again with a ground lift. It has a proprietary power supply, whereas the big one, you can just stick a cable in here. The power supplies can break and the cable gets shitty, and you know, I would have preferred to have a little bigger device and then just a power supply in here, so you can just stick a cable in here, but you know, it works. They opted for a smaller device, and that is also very cool. MIDI in, no out. And finally, USB-C. Boss has caught up. They stepped out of the dark ages and went for USB-C, which is brilliant. Effects loop here as well. A little less options, but also the level -10 plus 4 dB. This here is the optional Bluetooth adapter. You purchase this separately, stick it in there, and then you can control the device with your phone. And there is a beautiful app for that. And yeah, that is something I wish the big one had, because if I wanted to change something, I always had to find the cable, the stupid printer cable that I never could find. And then I ended up ordering one again, and it took me a couple of days to get it. And then I forgot what I wanted to do with it, and so, you know, it was a hassle. This is absolutely brilliant. If you want to make a quick change, you can. And then on the front, there is a reactive load here with just 2 settings, stack or combo. You have your speaker out as well. There's a line out going to the XLR. Also 10 different rig presets and the headphone out. And there's a new knob called the air feel level, which is basically like the room stuff. It makes you feel like there's air in the room, and it just makes it all feel more authentic. So that's it. We're not gonna listen to the big one because I did a video on that already, a very long video. So go check that out if you want. But I'm gonna hook up the TAE Core, and then we're gonna listen to some different features, what the new features do. I'm gonna show you guys the app, and yeah, then I'll talk some more. You can skip that part if you want, because it's boring. Okay. Alright, so first let me show you the app. Once you've set it up, you only have to open the app and it will start connecting automatically. Once it's connected, it looks like this. And the cool thing about this is that you can actually grab a mic and move it around to where you want, and it will change the distance, as you can see here on the left. And if you prefer to do it here, you can just say, I want it 20 centimeters away from the cone or 15 centimeters away from the cone. Hit cab, and these are all the cabs you can select. Here we have the mics. There's a dynamic 57, which is like an SM57. Ribbon 121, condenser 87. I think that's a Neumann 87. So you have 5 mics to choose from. It's not a lot, but more than plenty. You don't want option paralysis. There's also an option to use IRs. You can load up your own IRs to the tube amp expander. I haven't used that. Never tried it. On the old one, haven't tried it on this one. This just sounds already perfect to me, so there was just no use. But if you want, you can, and that is the good thing. Then on the bottom there's editor, and there you have control over your signal chain. You can't move blocks around because it's the fixed signal chain, but you can turn the reverb on and off, turn the delay on and off, turn the speaker EQ on and off, and the line EQ on and off. So you have an EQ going to the speaker and an EQ going to the line output if you want. So having those things separate is absolutely brilliant. Then here you have your effects. 2 types of compressors, 5 types of delays, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of reverbs. And you have a lot of control over those reverbs because you can set the tone, but here's page 2 for instance. Low cut, low damp, high damp. And there's also the option to send an effect to your amp and not to front of house, or vice versa. I love that word, vice versa. It's actually 2 words. So that is also a huge benefit, because maybe you want to reverb on stage, but not in the room, because it's already a reverberating room. Tons of options here. Now here's the IR loader, and there you have the librarian, where you can save all your presets and back them up. And the whole page for all the device settings. Brilliant app. You don't even need to hook it up to your computer, but I have it hooked up to my computer, so we're gonna continue there. It's a little bit easier for me to play a bit and then adjust with the mouse, because I'm a millennial and I'm still not used to touchscreens. Here we go. So it's going into the Vala King Leo. I have the Mythos Mjolnir Joey Landreth edition turned on for just a little bit of oomph. So this is the same kind of editor. You can just grab a mic and move it around. Let's just try moving around some mics. This is what it sounds like. And I grab the ribbon, drag it back, push in the 57. Here comes the ribbon closer again. Let's change the ribbon to the 87. Mute the 57. This is just the 87. And just the 57. And then muting both, and then you have just a room. That is the airfield. So if I close that off, it does nothing. So basically airfield is the room mic, and you can set the level, but you can also set the studio. So let's go back to engaging both the mics. And I want to go back to the ribbon here. No, here. Now this works in tandem with the knob here, so if I turn this, you can see it changing on the screen without me doing anything. This is it at full. And without. You get a beautiful direct sound, punchy and clear. But if you want just a little bit of atmosphere, you dial in the airfield. So gorgeous. And there are two types. This is Studio 1. Let's listen to that on its own. Max it out. And Studio 1. It's crazy. It sounds like somewhere in the back. Well, this is why I love the two pep expanders. It's so realistic. It feels like a real. And then you mix it with mics and you get. And now let's move the mics back a bit to give it even more breathing room. It is simply a gorgeous device. Cabs. I'm not gonna play all of them, just go through a few. Let's do the 1x12 Tweed Deluxe. Has a El Nico brightness, 1x12 standard. More like a ceramic type amp. Then we have 4x10 super combo, which is like super reverb. That is pretty. I was at 2x12 standard. You get the gist of it. Mix Assist. This is a new feature, and it helps you to kind of EQ, pre-EQ your guitar signal so it sits very well in a mix. It feels a bit gimmicky to me. This is it. And then transient. So it makes it brighter, punchier. Try a different type. And type 1. But it works, you know, you just switch it on and it sits in the mix beautifully well. But it gives you a bit less manual control. It's perfect if you want a no-hassle solution. Just click it on and you're done. Personally, I prefer just this sound. And if I need something else, I'll do it later myself, but you know, that's me. I think this is useful for a lot of people. Let's go into the editor, because there we can try some different effects. Here's the plate reverb. Let's go for a hall. Sounds so good, and it's stereo. Let's do a delay as well. Let's do a pan. Nice. And add some compression. Rack 1600. Okay, switch to other guitar real quick. It's in open E, because I want to play a bit of slide guitar. Engage the Harmonious Monk harmonic tremolo and the Brown Carbon X, and that sounds like this. reverb delay and compression coming from this. Yeah, it sounds and feels like a real studio environment. And this is why I love the tube amp expanders. So should you get the big one or the small one? It's a bit hard to answer because the small one isn't a slimmed down version of the big TAE, because it also has feature that the big one doesn't have. But the big one is more powerful, not only in volume, but it has more connectivity stuff. So if you need that, definitely go for the big one. If you use it on stage and you need it to be loud, then go for the big one, because that's 100 watts. The small one is 30 watts, so it's nearly not as loud as the big one. In most cases, though, I think the TAE Core is sufficient. A lot of people will be using this at home, in a studio, or on a silent stage, and then it kind of offers all you need, unless you need stuff like the amp switching and sophisticated MIDI stuff. But I think there will be a bigger market for this, and this also has more features than the much more expensive device from Universal Audio. There are two things though that I don't really like about it. One being that the Bluetooth isn't built in. You need to get the €50 optional Bluetooth adapter to get the Bluetooth functionality. It's 2025, it should have been built in. And because it's a smaller device, the legs are also smaller. So if you set it on top of an amp with a handle like this, you can't set it down because it will always rest on the handle. So, and you know, it's not a deal breaker. Absolutely not, because it's packed with features, and I love it to death, actually. And I will be using this on my channel from now on. The big one I'll be using on stage because it has a lot more power, and because you can just plug a power cable in there. I will 100% forget to bring the proprietary power supply to a gig and then be totally fucked. So this will stay at home. I will use the big one on stage. If you have to pick one though, and you don't need like the fancy switching options and the extra power from the 100 watt built-in amp of the big tube amp expander, then just go for this, because it sounds the same. It sounds so insanely good. And you get a device that's a lot cheaper and has a lot more features than the competition. So, no-brainer. Ratings. So first up, build quality. It's the same construction as the big one, only smaller, but the big one has held up 4 years of use here in the studio, well, living room studio, in actual studios, on the road with gigs and stuff. So yeah, it's durable. 10 out of 10. I think Boss is one of the most innovative brands out there, and yeah, they proved it again with the TAE Core. 9 out of 10. Looks. For the big tube amp expander, I dedicated a large portion of the video to building an enclosure for it. That was actually pretty, because I think it's very, very, very ugly. They still print a part of the manual or the block diagram, the signal chain, on top of the device. Who needs it? It's just distracting and ugly. There are better looking devices out there, definitely, but not better sounding. But still, you know, it's not very pretty. 4 out of 10. Ease of use. For a total noob, it will be a bit hard to use, especially with all the mic choices and the cap choices and how to hook it up and stuff like that. Just follow the manual, you'll be fine. It's not that hard to use, and they improved the user experience with the new app and the Bluetooth functionality a lot. Yeah, you will need some time to set it up. The stock presets, they sound good, but it will take you some time to tweak it. But it's also a lot of fun. In the end, when you know what it does, it's a breeze to use it. 8 out of 10. Sound. I've been using a tube amp expander for 4 years. This sounds just as good. I love it. 10 out of 10. Pricing. Well, it's just a little over half of the big tube amp expander, and it's a lot less expensive than the aux from Universal Audio, and has a lot more features and is a lot more professional. The aux is just a very big and expensive toy to me. 10 out of 10. Brings the total to an 8.5 out of 10. I hope this video helped you to make a bit of a decision. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, would really help to grow the channel, and leave your comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much. Bye.